So what about me winging life?
You wing 73% of your life. Like 73% of your life on average is unplanned.
Me?
No. My other wife. Yeah, you.
How is it unplanned? What do you mean?
There is zero chance you have planned out any more than 27% of your life to date. And that 27%, 26% of it is course selection for your schooling. The other 1% is probably meal prep. The rest of it,
yeah,
you're like Dorothy on a bike, just waiting for the tornado to hit and see what happens.
No.
That's your life. Counteract, like give me something different. Give me even a different percentage.
But that's the problem. I can't think of anything
exactly
planned
because you didn't plan out this conversation, so you're screwed.
But it works. Spontaneous adventure.
A, the word is spontaneity was what you're going for.
Yep.
And B,
it's late. I'm tired.
You can't throw adventure over everything.
Adventure, though. It's adventure. But think of how resilient our kids are. Show up in Scotland, we miss a flight. Oh, what are we going to do? Let's hop on that flight. Take me to the first English-speaking country. That's probably the only bad decision, because then I ended up in Manchester. Sorry if you live in Manchester. That's probably the only bad decision. Everything else has worked out great.
That's the only bad decision.
Yeah. Why?
So you're gifted with an inability to plan and the shortest long-term memory in the world.
What's a bad decision?
Well, there's got to be more than one.
No.
Nope. Just one. Just one. And it's Manchester. That's what you're going with? Unbelievable.
Manchester was underwhelming.
So, yes. Okay.
I flew from like Barcelona to Manchester.
All right.
It's underwhelming. I don't know where.
Well, what's the plan for tonight, for this episode?
Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Dr. Professor.
Should probably explain that at some point.
My constantly overachieving wife has now...
Who never plans anything, apparently.
Who never plans anything. No, I said you planned schooling, so this is appropriate.
Did I plan schooling? Hey, Caroline, there's this program. We can like open a coffee shop and be counselors and have coffee with people. I'm like, that's awesome. And then literally as I'm in my dressing gown for my master's,
we never did the coffee shop.
Maybe a psychologist? What? No, I guess, yeah, school's planned. Okay. Sorry, continue. ADHD.
What was the question?
I don't know.
Well, this is off to a rocky start.
My question, you were telling me about, I don't even know. My question is, what are your thoughts? Because this is a big one. This is probably number one fight or two, definitely top three. No, number one fight of families that I work with. Screen time.
Did you look at my list of questions?
No.
You lost your list and you went and looked at my questions.
Where's your list of questions?
Yeah. A likely story. Anyways.
100%. I did not look at your questions. Like
72%, you just winged it.
I workshop.
Right.
I winged it.
My question was along the same lines, which is fine.
Your question for tonight?
Yeah, it was going to be my question.
Okay,
so I've got a follow-up question, which we can tail into this. So screen time.
Yes.
What is appropriate? Is that the question?
Sure.
Okay. A little background. I, as a child, grew up with the standard 3-channel package.
Oh, mine was 2 and 7.
No, we got CBC because we were on a hill. So
I think CBC was 2, channel 2.
I can't remember anymore. So we had 2 and 7, which is global now. We had CBC and then we had CTV. Those are the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Those were it. So as I think we mentioned before, it was the whole had to sit and watch. Like Saturday mornings were cartoons, right? And
if you're privileged. I was not privileged. I had to do Saturday morning
Privileged if you're
chores.
privileged. If you're privileged.
And so then there was the ABC special on at noon. Oh, that was channel 8, 2, 7, and 8.
But that was later.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that
this
was
is
junior high.
super
Anyway.
niche and local to Canadian broadcasting.
Yeah.
So anyways, as a child, that was it, right? Like we'd watch whatever was on the standard channels in the evenings. We'd watch TV in the mornings, on the weekends. I don't remember it being a huge deal though. Like it just kind of was. Later in life though, when I was quote unquote living on my own, I could crush a TLC marathon. Like I would watch, like, yeah, like if there was a home renovation show, like
don't go, home renovation.
Yeah, what do you think I was going to say? Like, say yes to the dress?
No, like don't go chasing waterfalls. Isn't that
no,
TLC?
That's TLC. Yeah. No scrubs. Different. I meant the So let's pause for a second.
I didn't know what TLC
So
meant.
I'm giving background on my television watching, and at the first reference of TLC, you think I've just done a 90-degree turn to the R&B group from the 90s.
I wasn't thinking. Sorry, I didn't know what TLC meant.
Okay,
now I know.
So TLC, the channel, meaning, so as I was older, I would sit and I would watch TV. Like if I wasn't working or I wasn't going out, I literally would have the TV on, and I would sit. I remember watching entire cycles of a marathon on one channel, be it Power Block TV or be it something on TLC about home renos or whatever. It didn't matter. I was completely content doing that. And it wasn't until we got together that I remember the first conversation when we had our first house on where the TV was going to go, and you refusing to even consider having it anywhere other than the basement, which I said, that's dumb. I don't want to sit in the basement that's undeveloped and watch TV all the time. So we compromised and we put my TV in the basement, was the end decision, with something upstairs. Nothing in the bedrooms, nothing on the main floor, nothing close to the kitchen, that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until we moved to our second house that it was banned entirely from anything above grade. Like we didn't have a TV anywhere. And so as a poor Canadian child growing up with public TV and only 3 channels, I never once felt a lack of screen time until I was married in my second house and was prevented from ever watching TV above ground.
Really? I never knew this.
Like it was I didn't mind it for the dinner piece. And this is all rambling towards a point, but it didn't matter at a grand scale, but there were some times it would have been nice to like have the hockey game on while I'm making dinner, as opposed to, literally watching the pot boil so I can make dinner and nothing else was occurring around me. But what it did over time, what happened was, like anything, you stop thinking about it, right? Like I don't think about TV. It would be nice. Yeah, I'd love to sometimes just have it on in bed and whatever. But I now no longer worry about it. Part of that, I think, is because it's not really a major part of my life, but also I can watch TV anywhere at this point, like with screens and whatever else, which is kind of where I'm going with this point. Our children have never known anything other than below grade television, meaning in the basement with us watching TV. Yeah. We don't have vehicles with screens. And I think we've mentioned this in a different episode. We don't have screens in any of our television or in any of our vehicles. We're not overloaded. Like we're just putting a TV into the spare room for when grandma and grandpa come. Right. But that's it. That's really it. So they've never known anything different. I, at the beginning, full disclosure, thought you were a bit overboard with the whole zero screen thing.
I didn't know that. And now that I think back, I'm like, oh yeah, I thought it was just once we had kids, but no, you're right.
No, like, it was instant. It was, hey, this is going to be great. Let's move in together. You don't get to do anything other than stand in a quiet room or talk to me. Okay, cool. So, but now, like I look at it from my perspective to the kids, I'm sure it sucks. Like, I'm sure it'd be fun to have a TV on all the time. But at the same time, I see now what you were always, I almost said droning on about, what you were always talking about at that point of the screens and the effects on kids. I had zero clue.
I didn't think I knew about the screens and effects on kids until we had a kid.
No, when it was you and me, it was, my parents always had the TV on during dinner, and I hated that because then they would never talk to each other.
They would always shush me.
Yes, they would
and
always
so
shush
we couldn't talk because news is on.
And that was fine. Like, I didn't care about that. But that then carried over into, by the time we had kids, you were very much into that developmental piece and you understood it more and blah, blah, blah. And even then I'm like, whatever, like, it's not a big deal. Like, a little screen time here and there. But we were good about it. Like, we were really good about it. Even though I don't know if I was 100% in the boat originally, I was good about it. Like, I'd listen and say no. And I now see the massive effect. So to your original question, how much screen time is too much, or how much should they have? I 100% agree that it should be none. That said, it's easier for me to say none in the house because I know full well my kids are getting inundated with screen time outside of this house.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
From the amount of times I get notifications that Willow signs into a new device during the day, and I know it's school, like, it's not her messing around. I know she's logging into her workspace and doing her stuff. I get one or two of those a day. I'll get it after school when she comes home to do homework. I know when she's signed on. And again, I know it's on the main floor and it's on one of the family computers. But I don't know if there's a way to make it zero. Mm-hmm. I think in our house, we do a fairly good job.
And maybe just for everyone to know, like, I've always had, and I'm so grateful now, and maybe it was militant at the beginning, but rules of, you have to co-watch. So there's no being on any device alone by yourself, no electronics in a bedroom. Our phones go to one place where they all get charged at night. One TV in the basement.
We churn our own butter. We have a water well at the back. The horses are stored in the back 9 away from the family.
But we do, like, no starting a TV show after a certain time because it's going to interfere with sleeping. Yeah. You have to have developmental tasks done before you watch a TV. So you have to have, especially like in the summertime, I know with COVID, it got a little bit harder, but you have to get outside for an hour and exercise for an hour, do something creative for half an hour, read for sure half an hour, get your chores done. And then if there's time before bedtime, the cutoff time.
I will say, I think we have been less rigid with it since the pandemic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I think that's more of a mental thing for us. Like, it's just, there's fatigue in all of us, right? There's fatigue and trying to get through the day, you, especially with the amount of people that you're dealing with at work and blah, blah.
We don't have to worry about it because our kids know how to fill their time. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that kids are bored these days. And the problem is nothing is as stimulating as screens. And so, like, unless you go base jumping, right? But nothing is as stimulating. And so they don't know how to fill their time.
Yeah.
So we're fortunate that, so if you have young kids, don't get them on screens and don't fall into the facade of they need to have social media and all that kind of stuff either. Like, we have a high school daughter. You do not need to have social media. And guidelines are they shouldn't have more than an hour a day. No. Nothing under 2, because that affects brain development and stuff. But sorry to interrupt.
No. It's all. I mean, we're all on the same page, right? Like, if I ask you the question, I'll be surprised if it's anything other than 0. How much screen time should a kid have?
Well, definitely under 2, nothing. Yeah. And unfortunately, Fisher Price has all these things. But school age kids, it really should be 30 minutes to an hour. Max. No, 2 hours of screen time. It doesn't matter if it's for school or TV or their cell phone. 2 hours leads to addiction.
So I've got a question.
Sure.
We can get back to the addiction part in a second. Now, I understand computer screen, cell phone, tablets, all of that. Does that take into account the invasive screen time in the form of advertising and everything else that they have zero control about? Or is that just simply left out of the equation?
It's 2 hours. I mean, the advertising and stuff, it's just leaching their brains, but
there's no way to control that.
There's no way to control that.
Yeah. Okay.
And people, unfortunately, are really smart. They have people, psychologists, who go into marketing to see what's going to be most addicting. And,
For sure.
and they target to kids. They target because they are so vulnerable.
What was the big thing with cigarettes when we were, right? Like it was found out that cigarette manufacturers were targeting kids, right?
Yeah.
Customer for life, right? That whole theory, which is equal parts brilliant and horrifying that they're able to manipulate it that much. So as an extension of that, as a mom of kids that don't have a lot of screen time, how do you feel about kids' photos and representations being put online? How much of your kids do you think it's appropriate to have online when they themselves are not online?
Yeah. And I think that's a great question, because there is, oh man, I can't remember the terminology, but it's like social media moms or something. Like there is a better term. I just can't think of it right now. And it is parents who are putting stuff up online about their kids, and you see it all the time. And talking about their kids, like huge tantrums or calling them awful names. And, we see it on parent groups and,
So if you're looking at it, so the question that I'm trying to get to is, our children aren't online other than minimal amounts through school, right? They have email now. That's typically just for us to email. How appropriate is it for us to use their likeness on anything online if they themselves can't control that? Or a different way of putting it is, do we need their permission to use their likeness if they themselves are not able to use the systems that they'll be shown on?
It's a great question. I do think we should be getting their permission and putting that up there. And like now thinking about, I'm not a poster of, look at what my kid did today.
No, I don't. But I do
have pictures, like family pictures.
You get family pictures that's on the website and stuff for sure. And that's one part of it. But I mean, think of how much our kids are in sports.
Yeah.
Is that a bother to you that they're online even though they're not online?
I guess it depends. And yeah, you're right. Like our kids are tagged, although it's not our kids. It's we're tagged for our kids online and online.
Well,
pictures.
You're tagged.
I'm tagged. Yeah. Cause you're not like on Facebook and stuff, but yeah, I could see that being a problem, but it certainly is a problem.
It totally is.
Where parents are, putting all that stuff up there.
Because I think the biggest concern I've always had about the kids being online is strangers having unrestricted access to them in multiple forms, right? Visual, chat, who knows what, right?
Yeah.
That's what gets me.
Yeah.
But, this is more of a philosophical conversation than anything else. It is funny to me that the rationalization of the kids need it for social connection, the kids need it for this, the kids need it for that. Why do the parents need it? Mm-hmm. Why do the parents need to have their kids up there? Or conversely, if they're so adamantly opposed to it, which I'm sure some of them are, why are you putting your kid up there?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And if you think about your kids, like ours hate when we talk about them, stop using us for stories, and then and that's just using like a nice, friendly sort of example, just my parenting fail or something like that. Right.
Yeah.
But to go, and I do read, I only go on just for marketing stuff, right? Yeah. I don't use social media for any other purpose other than that. But there was a time like, I go into parent groups and stuff. I'm like, do your kids know these stories that you're sharing? Because who knows who's reading those, right? And that's really like you are laying out personal stuff. Mm-hmm. It's shaming, and they're all like,
well, and that's the difference, so right? There's the presentation of things as being perfect, right? Look at my kid, look at their accomplishment, look how happy they are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, followed promptly by the other side of the spectrum, which is, using the kid as a punchline or a plot device to have your own story told or whatever, right?
Or even just frustration, which I get too, right? And that's usually where the saddest things come out, where parents are just like, I want to beat the crap out of him. I want to run away. I want to do this. I want to do that. And it's hard. And I know parenting, it's so hard and we struggle. But
So what would you recommend to someone in that position? Because you wouldn't run into a crowd of people at a restaurant and start screaming that your kid's a jerk because they won't put their seatbelt on in their car seat.
Yeah.
Right. So by the same logic, why would you run into the internet chat room and scream the same thing?
Yeah.
So what would be a recommended alternative for, and I say this knowing that there's a far greater issue, in my opinion, of adults addicted to social media than kids at this point, because kids have regulations, parents don't. They can do whatever they want,
and none of us can self-regulate. Really, like even adults, and yet we expect our kids to get right off their video game and right off their social media when we say so. But
so what is your opinion on how or where parents might be able to direct that? Because what they're looking for is normalization and approval, right? For someone to go, oh, I totally get it. My kid was doing the same thing. They're such a jerk, blah, 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 right? They want to feel like they're normal and they're okay and they're not a bad parent.
Mm-hmm.
Just like they want to feel like their life is perfect and they're taking selfies while they're in a pool. Or
whatever. Even just like, I don't even know if they get the normalization, because I think so many parents feel like my kid is the worst. You don't understand. I get that yours is bad, but mine, you just don't understand mine and the struggles that I'm in. And sometimes I feel like it could be even more isolating.
Yeah.
So I think there's just this whole spread, like maybe it is, I really am looking for support and that normalization and just other people who understand. But sometimes I think it's even more isolating because nobody knows. And then it gets down a really slippery slope when parents are saying, hey, you should change your medication, or, like I see that all the time.
Yeah, that's the scary part, right? Is the community advice of, I know a person that knows a person that wasn't good on this, but they went to this and it was life. Like it's the same reason that you have people that didn't pass bio giving vaccination advice, right?
Yeah.
So I guess question still remains: is there an alternative that people can look to free themselves from social and screen time to better demonstrate to their kids how to be free of screen time?
It's a great question. And
I've landed a few great questions today. I just want that on the record that's like the third time it's been a great question.
Yeah. So I've already forgot. Sorry. Can you say it again?
So, we already forgot. It was like 5 seconds ago. So what is an alternative for parents?
It's just so late. I'm sorry.
What is an alternative for parents to look at that they can potentially wean themselves off of social, or that need for validation on social media, both of them as a means to be better parents so you're not crapping on your kids or whatever, but also to emulate or demonstrate to your kids how to be off social?
Okay, yeah. So there were two questions embedded in that. So that was it. I just wanted clarity. So on the one hand, I mean, the support is so important. We know being able to talk with other people who are in the same boat as us, to get that normalization piece, to get the support, to just hearing like from our peer group, right? Who understand can be so valuable, but we're not getting it on social media. And I think it's so, I won't even go down that path of why it's so tricky and difficult. So where do you go? I mean, a parent support group, right? Or maybe within these groups, maybe you're breaking off and having your own little meeting, right? And I think the face-to-face piece makes such a difference too, because I think it can get vicious out there too in some of these parenting things. It can get really vicious. So it's really about building your support network, but a true, genuine support network. And it's okay. Like I know there's things like ring at Garrett, hey, I'm looking for a girdle in this size. Oopsies. Getting too excited here. But, I think when it comes to this emotionality piece, you just can't replace face-to-face. Even if it's Zoom, that's fine. But just that interaction where we can see and share and emote.
Emulate the old church model.
Compassion.
Right? Create community through connection, but real connection.
And that's what we need to model for our kids, because we think, our kids need to be on social media to be connected and to have friends. But like they're not learning empathy. Social media is killing empathy. It's promoting self-centeredness, narcissism. And we've talked about this before too, right? Where they're just not knowing how to manage conflict and, good communication skills. We can just text and ghost, right? And that's how we deal with it. So it's modeling, no, this is what connection is. This what true friendship is. This is how I reach out for support and help. This is what, that piece. And it's kind of going back,
way back. Because what you're basically saying is you need to start over, right? You need in forming relationships, but you have to be deliberate in the formation of those relationships, right? Because that's another thing that I find about it is the screen time at both a child's level and a parental level. There's zero restriction to forming an initial relationship. Just as there's very minimal effort required to maintain that relationship, which then makes it very easy to walk away from at any point in time. None of those are attributes of a real relationship. Real relationships take time. They take building trust. They take conflict resolution. They take all these different pieces to form a lifelong, long-standing relationship that nobody's learning how to do. Right. And parents, this is the luxury part, but we as parents are getting worse at demonstrating how to have good relationships outside of spouse, immediate family, whatever. It's just killing it. Right. It's killing it. And again, tons of different factors, but I think what we're saying is we need to rise up and there needs to be a revolution against screen times. Is that what we're saying?
Yes. Oh my gosh. If we could just smash it all, smash social media, just everybody stop using for like a couple of days.
So like the old wreck the disco records in the Shea Stadium idea.
And I know it's tricky. Like it's always such a big debate because people are like, well, we can't get rid of it. So we got to teach our kids to self-regulate. And that's true. Like there's no way that I can say 0 computers, 0 screen, 0 anything, but we can try to model. We have to model that and set firm boundaries. And I know that it's easy to give an iPad to a kid so I can just go make dinner, or just give them the phone because I just got a shower, or it's going to cause a fight, so I want to keep the peace. And there's so many reasons why we fall into that trap. It's to avoid fights, right? To have that peace. It's just not worth it. And I've seen kids, the minute they get home, parents don't even look at them. They just give them the iPad and the kid walks upstairs and is up there, and parents will bring them dinner just because it's easy. But we are creating so many. I do workshops on this topic, just about how there's nothing good period about screens, but they're part of life. And so how do we do that? And we do start by creating very firm boundaries. These are the expectations. It's easy for us because we've always had limits. So our girls don't know anything different. And so that's what I'm urging parents of young children. Don't, if you give too much freedom and you try clawing it back, it's never going to work in your favor. So it's really saying, okay. And I love, creating a graph. When you're 12, you can have this. When you're 14, you can have this. When you're 16. And then when you write it down, it's in the chart. It's like, look, we're not talking about this until you're 16. But, if you're in it, I think it is sitting down and writing a contract together and what that social media sort of diet's going to be. And
I think it's twofold. I think the one piece that is missing that's become more apparent to me through this conversation is if you're setting limitations on your kids, you have to set the same limitations on yourself. Right. Because it boils down to, again, like we're lucky in a way. We're not lucky because we set it up this way, but for those on the younger side with kids, just don't introduce them. Don't rationalize it. This sounds preachy, but don't make excuses on why the screen is okay now and then complain later when the screen takes over. So it is a zero tolerance. As much as those lonely dinner cooking periods with no TV around me sucked, at the end of the day, that made it much easier for me to enforce a no screen rule when the kids came along, because it just wasn't part of my life anymore, right? Not as much as it used to be. But it's not feasible to think that applying screen limits and social media limits to your children without having the same level as them, or restrictions on yourself, it's not gonna matter. You're modeling the behavior that you're okay with then. right? These parents are, whether they want to admit it or not, are modeling the behavior that truly they're okay with because they themselves see it as all right.
Yeah.
So their kid is going to think it's all right. And then, so you just have to basically shut her down entirely or never start.
Yeah. And that's true for everything. And I mean, yeah, there's moderation, but that's the first place where it has to come, and just maintaining those boundaries. And that's true. Like read it. If you want your kid reading, read as a family, make that enjoyable, make that and we love, that's our favorite thing, is to cuddle up. Come a certain time, we all cuddle up and read together, right? And it's a great night. In the wintertime, we start a fire, and and if you want them to get outside or to exercise, like, you got to be doing those things as well. Practice what you preach, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then the boundaries, and kids need those. And yeah, they're going to fight against it, especially if they've had all the freedoms and access and things like that. But do know, it's always going to, I always say, it's going to cost you more tomorrow than it is today. Yeah. So if you want to keep putting it off, that's fine, but it is so much harder. And I mean, we could go into all sorts of things. There's all, parents are like, well, they're bored if they don't have it. We got to teach them how to fill their time.
Yeah, you do.
Transitioning off a screen is a problem. Like, there's so many different topics that we could talk about, but it's, yeah, I mean,
yeah. And I mean, we can dive into it at some other point, but it does come down to, you do have to train them because you didn't train them initially. So to act like that's a new behavior that you all of a sudden have imposed on you, no, you should have done it from the beginning, right? Because you didn't. You train the behavior you're okay with. So to train the behavior you want, you got to go back to the beginning.
So do you think now that it sounds like you do agree, like, I didn't realize I was so militant when we were so much younger. I thought it was more.
What are you talking about? You labeled the entire pantry the day we moved in, and I wasn't allowed to move anything.
That's not true.
It is 100% true.
No, it's not. I don't believe you. Me label?
Yeah.
You were saying that,
yes,
I don't plan anything. I don't plan anything. What would I label? Everything is a disaster.
It is now, but that's different because we have kids. There was a point in time where everything had a place, everything needed to be done, everything was organized.
Maybe.
And then we had children.
And now it's,
No, if to answer your question, I think you're going to, I do think it was the right decision. I don't think it should have been imposed on me because I was a full grown man. But it is what it is. I think it's better overall, right? Like, I think it's better overall. And I hope we don't have to experience some of the horrors that social media brings.
Yeah, because there's so many.
It's brutal.
All righty. Well, anything left in that you had apparently wanted to talk about?
Nope, that was it. I got my question.
Okay, well, thank you. I feel like there's so much more, and this is such a hot topic because I think on the one hand, parents want to limit and put boundaries, but on the other, there's always a pushback. But. So we got to figure out, what are your buts, and are you willing to, pay the price of defending whatever those buts are?
That'll be a question for another episode.
I suppose so.
Well, why not, right? Like, we dive into it a little deeper then. But I think for today, what we learned is Caroline was militant. Screens are bad. Don't complain if you give them to kids and you can't get them away from them now.
Yeah.
You're your own worst enemy.
Why are you pointing at me?
Because we're going to do point of the wall. You're the only person I can point to.
Alrighty.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Good night, Andrew.
Good night, Dr. Professor.